A very warm welcome and thank you very much for joining me right here on Business Foresight. I'm your host, Ronaldo Diambo. Tonight, on the Entrepreneur segment, what does it really take to make Nairobi Matatus look so flashy and trendy at the same time? I talked to none other than Moa Graphics, and he tells us how he started and how the journey has been. And on the Expert Corner, my guest and I look at the different types of taxation that we have in the country and your role as a taxpayer. This is Business Foresight. After Kenya attained its independence in 1963, Kenyans were liberated but still cut off from the rest of the world, with public transport becoming a major nightmare. Only London's Overseas Trading Company, OTC, operated a fleet of buses plying a few routes in the country. This prompted the then president of Kenya, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, to commission the first matatus in Nairobi, a fleet of pickup and lorries with wooden benches installed in them. They were dubbed "Face Me, I Face You." From then, the matatu industry, commonly known as Mat3, has transformed to be the best in the region, giving Nairobi its flashy urban culture and becoming an instant attention grabber. The culture is widely embodied on the local transport vehicles, whose owners have gone a notch higher in bedazzling their rides, giving them an edge over competitors, with their flashy colors standing out among the usual white and yellow striped matatus. Thanks to artists like Moha Qatar or Moa Graphics, as he is commonly known on the streets of Nairobi.
Okay, jina yangu naitwa Mohamed Kartar au Moa Graphics, na kazi yangu ni kupiga rangi, kuchora. Okay, nafanya kila kitu kwa hii garage. Fiber work, interior, mechanical, na deal na all kind of cars, Matatu, Nissans, na pia gari ndogo, motorbikes na baiskeli. Everything.
Moha was born and raised in Nairobi. After his schooling, he tried other jobs before deciding to follow his passion, one that stems back to his early childhood.
Hii biashara, okay, I started this maybe huko 2001. Hiyo ndio wakati nilianza kazi ya kuchora magari, but sikuwa na garage. Niko na move kwa different garages, niko naenda Catskill, 2M, alafu mara nyingine naenda tu garage za kawaida tu hizi ndogo ndogo kufanya tu job ndogo ndogo. But in 2004 ndio niliamua kuanza mimi mwenyewe kuchukua job, kufanya job kutoka mwanzo mpaka mwisho. But hii garage nimekuwa nayo kutoka 2005.
With no garage where he could work, Moha was forced to walk into every garage looking for that slight opportunity to showcase his talent.
Ilikuwa hard kwa sababu unajua sasa at that time people hawakuwa so much interested na mambo ya kuchora magari. Mtu alikuwa anataka tu kajina, mara nyingine tu anakuambia nikie ka line. Unaona, wakati hizo bado zilikuwa zijashika, but ile time nilikuwa nafanya kitu, nilikuwa natafuta opportunity. Mtu akiniambia nimfanye kitu, so na try kufanya kitu kuchange hiyo system ya design.
He however faced rejection from matatu owners who thought his work wasn't pleasing enough.
Ole tu tulifanya, ndio it was very hard kwa sababu ilikuwa sometimes you don't get the pay unataka, au unafanya kitu mwenyewe anasema hataki kwa sababu maybe ni kitu mpya. Unajua mara mingi kitu mpya watu wengine wanaogopa, unajua. Because hata mimi kwa hii biashara mara kwanza nikianza nilikuwa naogopa sometimes kufanya vitu zingine. Niko na hiyo idea kwa kichwa, but naweza fanya iruke. So the only thing niko nafanya, customer anakuambia anataka hivi, unaitwist kidogo but unaweka ka level ile level yake. But ilikuwa hard kwa sababu ilikuwa sometimes unaweza fanya kitu isikue inaenda kwa barabara, unasikia sasa hii ni nini. Unajua at least sasa you can do anything. Hata unaona kuna mavijana wengi sometimes wanaandika tu something kwa gari, hawezi hata soma, but watu wana accept. At that time ungefanya kitu kama hiyo gari unaenda unafuta. So hivyo tu pole pole nikafanya gari ya kwanza, ya pili zikafutwa, nikafanya ya tatu, nikaambiwa ni ya udu, na siku give up kwa sababu ni kitu napenda. Nilikuwa naenda home sina kitu, naweza tembea kutoka Buru mpaka Isili mguu. Sasa sina hata sijakula lunch.
Four years later, he had his biggest breakthrough. He found himself a small space in Isili where he decided to put up a garage and could do what he loved most.
So nikakuwa nang'ang'ana mpaka mwisho nikafanya gari moja, ndio watu wakaanza kuuliza nani alifanya hii gari. Sasa wakati hiyo ndio nikasema sasa gari nitafanya next, na nikajina Moha. Sasa ile kuandika Moha mara nyingine unaweza chorea mtu gari mwenyewe anaitwa Moha. Sasa ikakuwa ni kama ni yeye. Sasa ndio nikatengeneza hiyo graphics.
Since then, the name Moa Graphics has constantly appeared on matatus plying major routes in Nairobi, especially Rongai, Umoja, Buruburu, Thika Road, and Ngong Road, not forgetting personal cars. He continuously contributes to Nairobi's flashy urban culture of the matatu industry.
Nashukuru Mungu, I do every kind of car. Na deal matri, na deal na basi, na deal na Nissan ndogo, gari ndogo, motorbikes, na paka baiskeli. I don't choose because ile art niko nayo, na experience niko nayo, na talent niko nayo, I can work on anything.
In 2004, he faced his biggest challenge when John Michuki, the then Minister for Transport and Communications, imposed new rules that were meant to streamline the billion-shilling matatu industry. The rules were dubbed the Michuki rules.
Okay, kawaida gava, unajua tu vile gava sometimes wanaleta rules inakatana na kazi yetu. Sometimes wanasema gari zikuwe one color ile kwa logbook. So vitu kama hizo ni challenges. Sometimes pia weather challenge ya weather, unaweza kuwa unafanya job gari iungue au maybe inyeshewe, you have to repeat it again. Kuungua, unajua kuna ile kuban, the paint burns in a bubble au in a wrinkle. So si kwa term yetu ya kazi tunasema kuungua. Yeah.
This, however, did not deter him from growing to the big name that he is today.
Okay, mahali niko pia sometimes watu wengine unaweza pata mtu yuko mtu wa Lavington anataka kukuletea gari ndogo, but akishasikia uko Isili maybe sometimes ana back off, anaona so unajua because Isili is a very safe place, but mtu mwingine anaweza ona Isili. You see, kitu nyingine pia space mahali niko sasa kulingana ile kazi niko nayo pia space ni ndogo. I need to look for a better place, but I'm still looking for, unaona. Alafu sasa challenge nyingine vile nimekwambia weather, because this area sometimes hauwezi piga hesabu ya weather. Unaweza kuwa umepiga gari rangi mara ndio hiyo mvua, but tunashukuru Mungu, at least everything ni Mungu amepanga na sisi hatuwezi pangua. We work according to whatever comes.
With a new crop of graffiti designers coming up, Moa urges them not to just put anything out there in the name of art, but also calls upon them to consider the society who judges them with their work.
Mimi kitu moja, mimi appreciate anything mtu yote anafanya. Mimi hupenda whatever mtu ana create, but the only thing mimi huambia kama my fellow designers ni wachunge wakuwe na level ya kufikisha art yao, because sometimes unaweza pata kuna magari zingine unapata wameka too much things, you don't know the color of the car, you don't know what is the theme of the car. Unajua mi appreciate nikiona kitu fiti mufurahi, but nikiona kitu haiko, kama najua ni nani nampigia simu naambia kitu fulani umefanya si fiti, because unajua artist hao wanakaa, unajua wengi ni vijana, alafu hao they want to shine, but you'll never shine in the wrong way. You have to come up slowly in a very decent and principled manner, ndio at least society iku accept. Unajua mara mingi sisi tunafanyaga tu vitu kujiplease sisi, but kwa hii kazi yetu, hii industry ya matri, unafaa kufanya kitu ita please everyone, watoto, watu wazima, wazee, wale watiaji, wale watu always upenda kucomplain. Like mi ukiangalia art yangu, I'm very different from everyone. Mi hufanya kitu different, nataka kitu mtu akiangalia anajua hii ni ya Moha. Because huko ma-artist wengi, juu artist anaona mtu fulani amefanya hivi atafanya. Kuna wengine wamerudia gari kama 50 the same thing. Different colors but the same design. Me will never get me doing that. Mimi napenda kufanya kila gari na design yake, rangi yake, different kind of structure. So our designers wanna come, whatever they are doing, it's good. But do something ile ita please everyone. Everyone atai accept na everyone ataweza kuiappreciate. Yeah.
That has been Moa Graphics, a renowned graffiti artist in the country. Time for that short breather as I grab a glass of water. Welcome back to Business Foresight. This is the Expert Corner, where we bring you personalities with expertise in areas of interest. And tonight, our topic of discussion is taxation. Welcome back to Business Foresight. This is the Expert Corner. Like I told you before, my guest today is Mr. Peter Gatune, Managing Partner, Gatune and Associates, Certified Public Accountant and also a tax advisor. Welcome, Mr. Gatune, to Business Foresight.
Thank you.
Yes. Mr. Gatune, first and foremost, can you please tell us what is the role of a tax advisor?
The role of a tax advisor is to advise the taxpayers and mainly the business people so that they remain compliant in terms of accounting for their taxation and also paying their taxes to avoid conflict with government and especially KRA.
Now, when you talk about conflict, what are the conflicts that we're looking at with the government?
If you are a business person and you fail to comply with the tax law, you fail to account properly for your taxes, and you fail to remit the various taxes to the government, you will automatically be asked to account for it. And when they come to ask you, you will pay the principal amount together with penalties and interest. And that might be the point of conflict, because it might not be very good to you as a business person.
Before now we get into our main topic of discussion today, what are the penalties that one faces when he fails to remit his tax?
Let's, for example, talk of VAT.
Which is one of the types of tax.
Which is one of the types of taxes.
Yes.
And the most common and popularly known almost by everybody, because it is a consumer tax.
Okay.
If you do not account and pay for VAT at the right time, then you are going to be penalized. And the penalty is 20% on the principal amount due, or 10,000 Kenya shillings, whichever is higher. Remember, like in VAT, you are supposed to do your tax returns and make payments by 20th of the following month. So if you fail to do your return in time, that is 20th of the following month, there is an automatic penalty of 10,000 shillings, whether you had tax to pay or not. And it's important for a business person to know, when you have a VAT obligation in your taxes, then you are supposed to file return whether you are trading or not, so long as you have that obligation with you. If you fail to file the return, 10,000 shillings will be penalized on you on monthly basis. So you can imagine, like, you have failed to do your tax return in time for the whole year, that's 120, whether you are trading or not. If you are trading, then you fail to pay the tax, there is a penalty of 20,000, not 20,000, 20%, or 10,000, whichever is higher. So if the VAT liability for a month is, for example, 1 million, and you fail to pay that, and KRA catches up with you, then you are going to pay the million plus 20%, which is 200,000. Then you are going to be paying a penalty of 1% per month from the time that amount fell due up to the time it is collected. It continues growing. Yes.
So now, what apparatus does the tax people have to make sure that one complies with tax remittance?
Well, KRA has become very friendly. They run a lot of trainings, actually on monthly basis, to sensitize people, business people, on how to comply and pay taxes in time. You will see adverts in the paper every time.
Yes.
And right now, you are seeing a lot of adverts in the media talking about rental income.
Yes.
Landlords being told that now tax on rental income is on monthly basis. That's education. And they are also going a step further to tell you what would happen if you do not comply. Remember, when June comes, which is normally the timeline for filing the tax returns for those people whose year end is that 1st December, you see a lot of advert from KRA, and even with a clock counting down the days.
Yeah.
So they keep on reminding you. So actually they do everything possible to remind you that you are supposed to comply. But again, as a business person, it is your responsibility to ensure that you know the taxes that affect you and how to remain compliant with them. And that's now where the tax advisors or experts like ourselves come in. Yes.
So now let's look at the other form of tax, which is the payroll tax. How does the payroll tax work?
Payroll tax affects the employees. Actually, the burden of payroll tax, this is what we commonly call pay as you earn.
Yes.
Pay as you earn is supposed to be paid by the employees, not the employer. The employer is an agent of government in terms of collecting and remitting this tax. Now, pay as you earn is payable by 9th of the following month.
Unlike the VAT tax,
Unlike
which is
VAT,
payable 20th
by 20th
of the following month.
Yes.
Okay.
So after the month has ended, you have paid your staff if you are an employer.
Yes.
By 9th of the following month, you must file a pay-as-you-earn return and make the payment for the pay-as-you-earn that you deducted from the employees. Now, if you do not, as an employer, again, there is a penalty. And the penalty here is actually 25% of the principal amount. This is the amount that you collected and never remitted to KRA. So you are going to pay that amount plus a penalty of 20%. And again, the 1% per month. This 1% used to be 2%, but now it is 1.
Reduced to 1%.
Yes. And it applies from the time this amount falls due up to the time the amount is collected. So for pay as you earn, the amount becomes due on 9th. So any time after 9th, you start counting the interest.
Okay. Now, Mr. Gatune, let's understand what happens here. If your employer fails to pay you in time, and yet you also pay taxes, how does this work?
Remember, when you come to pay as you earn, which is payroll tax,
Yes.
the employer is an agent of the government to collect from your salary and to remit that tax to the government. If because of cash flow issues, the employer is not able to remit the employee's salary in time,
Yes.
what the employer should do is to look for money from wherever source can be borrowed and pay the tax, that is pay as you earn. And then the payment to staff can be deferred and paid when cash flow allows. You cannot afford to defer the tax because you will attract penalty and interest. And remember, when the KRA officers come to review your books and find actually you are not paying this in time, the penalty is on the employer, not on the employee.
Not on the employee.
And remember, this tax should not affect the employer at all because the burden is on the employee. But the moment you fail to do the return and also to pay in time, you shift part of that burden to you in terms of the penalty and interest. Yes, as an employer. Yes.
So now, let me take you back a bit when it comes to remittance. Earlier on, when we were having a conversation, you told me there's about input and output when
Yes.
it comes to, you know,
VAT.
VAT.
Yes.
What happens when VAT? What happens when input doesn't tally with output?
Actually, it will rarely tally. You do not expect it to tally because the input tax is, in terms of VAT, is actually the VAT you pay to your suppliers when you are buying, for example, your stocks. When you are buying your stock, you'll be charged a price plus VAT. Now, that VAT which you pay to your suppliers is known as input tax. When you are selling to your customers, you sell them at a price plus VAT. The VAT you charge your customer is known as output tax.
Output tax.
Now, how do we account for the VAT? You take the total output tax for the month, beginning and end of the month, and the total input tax again for the month, the same period, and you get the difference. Now, if the output tax for a particular month is higher than the input tax,
Yes.
that difference is payable to KRA. At times, you can have a situation where the input tax is higher than the
output.
Yes, and this happens, for example, if you bring a huge consignment to your store
Yes.
towards the end of the month, the third or the fourth week of the month,
Yes.
that means most of that stocks will spill over and will be sold in the following month.
Yes.
A very small portion of it might be sold in the current month.
Current month.
Therefore, in such a period, you will find that your input tax is higher than the output tax.
Sure.
In that situation, you will have a credit balance or a negative, where now when you take output tax minus input, it will give you a negative value. That negative value, we call it a credit balance. What do you do with it? You roll it or you carry it forward to the future period and you utilize it in the future period, such that if your output tax is high the following period, before you pay any amount, you will offset the input tax for that future period plus the credit which was rolled forward from the previous period. So you might find if actually the credit is high, it can spill even to 2 or 3 months. But then you are given opportunity to utilize it fully before you start paying. Yes.
This opportunity that you're given to clear your tax,
Yes.
your debts, how long is it? How long are we looking at?
This opportunity is continuous because now VAT is accounted for on monthly basis. And on monthly basis, you file a VAT return. This return is called self-assessment. You are actually assessing yourself.
Yes.
Therefore, so long as you remain in business, that opportunity is there, and you are also doing the right the right work.
Yes.
You are not falsifying your records. Then, so long as the credit is there, you will utilize it until when it is fully finished. That opportunity is there. Yes.
Okay. Now let's come back to payroll tax.
Yes.
If my boss deducts
Yes.
whatever he deducts from my payroll, he tells me he has paid it as tax. Is it my role as an employee to go checking if my boss actually remitted the tax as he is supposed to do, or whose role is it to make sure that tax is being paid to the taxman?
Okay. Yes. You have a role as an employee. It's important for you to ensure that the money deducted from your salary as pay as you earn is actually remitted. There are situations where there are some employers who deduct pay as you earn from employees and they never remit. That is there. And what do you find? At the end of the year, every taxpayer is required by law to file their tax returns, even you as an employee. Now, and your return, your earning is coming from your salary. If you earned so much, a million, say 3 million shillings that year, and the pay as you earn on your salary was not remitted, at that point, KRA will come directly to you. KRA will also go directly to the employer to ask them why they never remitted, but they'll also ask you, why did you not pay? Now, the system that KRA is now using, the iTax, is a very, very good system. It is very interactive. It is very friendly to the taxpayers. And you are actually able to know your tax status by logging onto your iTax page. If you log into your iTax page, you will be able to see the pay as you earn that was deducted from you. You will see how it is remitted on month to month for the 12 months, January to December. So if you find gaps, you have a right to ask your employer, why are you having gaps in your tax file? Because it will affect you at the end of the year when you are filing tax return. Because you'll be saying, I earned so much, then I paid so much tax. And then the KRA gives you a credit for the pay as you earn that was remitted on your behalf by your employer. So if nothing was remitted, they will come for the full tax from you, much as the employer will also be penalized for not acting in accordance with the law. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Gatune. That was quite educative. That's the end of Business Foresight tonight, and I believe you've learned something. For suggestions or comments, remember our Facebook page is WTV Kenya, our Twitter handle is @WTVKE, and our SMS lines are 20058. For the team that came together to put up a wonderful show, be blessed, and I'm humbled. And to you, our viewer back at home, thank you very much for joining me right here on WTV and watching Business Foresight. Until next time, I've been your host, Ronaldo Diambo. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing.